Do you know what's hard about writing a letter? Writing a love letter. You know what's even harder than that? Writing a letter in which you seek closure from someone making your life miserable. This is some heavy stuff, guys. Today we're going to talk about Franz Kafka and his daddy issues. That's me making a lame pun, but I hope you will excuse me for doing so. Throughout his life, Franz Kafka wrote a lot, and I mean literally a lot of letters to a lot of people. Most notably were his letters to his lovers. One of his lovers were the girl you see there. Her name was Milena Jesenska, and they spent time together for like 5 days in total. So I don't know whether or not they were lovers or just... yeah. When it came to those kinds of letters, Franz Kafka was very insecure. I mean, he would constantly comment about exchanges in the power relationship between the two persons writing the letters. He would complain about the letters not being sent quickly enough. He didn't receive the letters quickly enough. Oh yeah, and Franz Kafka was very awkward when it came to letters as well. Do you see that drawing right there? He actually enclosed it in a letter to Milena Jesenska in 1920. And it depicts a man in a torture device being torn apart right through the middle. And there's a guy right there just leisurely watching. And you know who that guy is? That's the inventor of the torture device. And he's just admiring his own work, I suppose. And you know what? Kafka still was the one who broke off the relationship. What the fucking tits? That's ridiculous. One letter in particular of Kafka rose above all the else. That was his letter to his father, Hermann Kafka. The letter was written in November of 1919 and it never actually got to Franz Kafka's father. However, there's a lot of things in the letter which are very relatable to us human beings in this day and age. One of the interesting things about the letter is actually the dichotomy between the adult writing the letter and the child who's experiencing all of those things that's written about in the letter. Numerous times Kafka is talking about how the child perceived something to be very fearful, very dangerous, and now as an adult he sort of sees that it probably wasn't as dangerous as he once thought it was. However, it was very bad because Kafka didn't really experience physical abuse. However, it did get to experience a lot of verbal abuse. His father would mock him, his father would criticize him, his father would laugh at him condescendingly. And even though that sounds very bad and is very bad, Kafka just shrugs it off. For example, Kafka tells about how he as a child was often chased around the table, chased around the entire house. And Kafka's father would yell at him. He would threaten him to tear him apart. And Kafka as a child would take that literally. He thought literally he was going to die if his father caught him. One of the absolutely most interesting insights we get from this letter is Kafka's perception of the three worlds. When Kafka as a child, he saw the world divided into 3 sections or 3 sub-worlds, I guess. One of which was him as a child who lived there as a slave. Every single law was invented specifically for him. He could never comply with the rules. He kept living in a certain never-ending circle of frustration because he could never comply with the rules. He could never satisfy his ruler. The second world was inhabited solely by Franz Kafka's father. He would give him instructions, he would give him orders, and he would never be satisfied because Franz Kafka could never live up to his expectations. The third world would be the most heartbreaking one of all of the worlds, because in that world, everyone else lived according to Kafka. Every single person on the planet, every adult, every child would live in that world and would never experience the things that went on in Kafka's own home. And I hope you can see that this perception of the 3 worlds is actually very relevant to us as human beings today, because today we are confronted with authority in a very direct way numerous times. It might be politicians, it might be the police force, it might be our school teachers, it might be our boss at work. And all of these people have an authority over us. They want to make some decision for us or on our behalf. And we are faced with authority in a very direct way, and we feel this powerlessness that Kafka felt as well as a child. Franz Kafka also talks about this feeling of nothingness that his father gave him. It all started when he as a child was carried out onto the family balcony in the middle of the night because he was crying out for a glass of water. out frustration, his father would just carry him outside and just let him stay out there for a while. Coupled with this experience, and coupled with Franz Kafka's lifelong battle and struggle with his disease tuberculosis and other diseases as well, Kafka says in the letter that he ended up distrusting and being worried about the thing that's very closest to him, namely his own body. Even though this sounds very terrible, I hope you realize that there is some light at the end of the tunnel, because Franz Kafka talks about in the letter as well how this feeling of nothingness has been a productive thing for him as well. He has had several creative outlets, namely his writing, in which he wrote some excellent literature. I mean, The Castle, The Trial, The Metamorphosis as well. He talks about how this feeling of nothingness actually compelled him to write those things. Now, you might just think that what Kafka talks about in this letter is very bleak and it's very heartbreaking. However, there's still one final thing left I have to tell you. That's when Kafka talks about how the influence his father had on him was actually inevitable. What Kafka basically is saying is that personalities are very fixed. His father's most defining and most major personality trait was his dominance, and Kafka's most defining personality trait was his weak demeanor and his meekness. So when a personality that's as strong and as dominant as Hermann Kafka's would clash into a personality that rivals the meekness of Kafka's, that means that the clash, the influence, cannot be changed in any way at all. And if you believe Kafka's words, that's a very heartbreaking and poignant notion, because it just means that we are all fixed people in the world having an impact maybe more devastating than we otherwise thought it would be. So please, I implore you, in every dealing with another human being, please be kind, compassionate, and considerate to the extent that you can, because you might have a bigger influence than you know of. And please as well learn from Kafka that your past does not have to define who you are today. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're gonna like the video below, and I hope you're gonna subscribe to my channel. And if you're able to, please put down in the comment section below how you have overcome something that happened in your past, either in your home or in the school or whatever. Please let us know in the comment section below so we can all learn that we are in fact not alone with our issues. I'm Simon, and this has been my existential crisis with Franz Kafka. I hope you have a nice day. Cheers, guys.